Yeah, I confess, Father, I confess, 'cause I've been living wrong.
All my brothers and sisters out there in the world, today's show we will be covering compassion. You must have compassion to complete strangers. The Lord wants to see your heart, and he wants to see how much love are you showing to a complete stranger. It's one thing to show compassion to your neighbors. It's another thing to show compassion to your family. It's another thing to show compassion to your neighbors. But are you willing to show compassion to a complete strangers? You must walk in love. Now let's go ahead and get into these stories. First story. It was a king, y'all. He was balling. If he lived in this day, he would be like $350 million. He got dough. He's rich. You know what I'm saying? So this king was having a feast. And at this feast, he got everything. He got all the good wine. He got all the good dancers. He got all the good music. He has all the prominent people of his city in that town, in his banquet for his feast. Now, a poor man came up to the king and asked him, "King, I'm suffering. I'm hungry. I'm starving. Can you give me some crumbs from your plate?" Now the king was an evil man, and even though this beggar, this old man, all hurt with wounds on him, he had no compassion for him whatsoever. And just because he had a feast and money to throw and all this food, it didn't mean anything. Excuse me, y'all. Excuse me. It didn't mean anything to this king whatsoever. So, and then the beggar, he on his last leg. You might as well say that his number is for to be called at any time, because anytime dogs come up to you and they start licking your wounds, you're on your deathbed. That's the last time, you know what I'm saying? That's the last of your days. So the king was neglected and did not want to give the beggar any food at all. This same very day, God called both of these people home and judged them. You already knew. The beggar, he went to heaven, but the king, he was sent to hell from him showing no compassion. Now the king cried out to the Lord and asked him, "Oh Lord, can you let me go back up there and tell my brothers and my uncles that hell is an actual place in which you would have to come and spend your life?" Do you think Jesus was hearing that? I didn't think so. So if the man would have showed the beggar compassion at that instant in time, maybe God would have showed him some pity and mercy, and he wouldn't be sitting in hell burning for all eternity. Next story. It was a man leaving Jericho. No, he was in Jerusalem. My bad. He was leaving Jerusalem and he was headed to Jericho. When he was headed to Jericho, he fell amongst thieves. These thieves beat him up, robbed him, stabbed him, did all these horrible things and left him an inch away from his life. Now, down this road, it was a preacher man walking down the road. The preacher man seen him all beaten up, all busted on the side of the road. Do you think the preacher would take his time and show compassion to a complete stranger? He didn't. He kept on walking and kept on doing his thing. Like, man, that's not none of my business. I am not concerned. I got my own worries. So the preacher left the man to die. You basically said he left him to die because he did not show compassion. Now, it was a Levite. A Levite is the same as a preacher or a priest because he's in charge of the tabernacle. You might as well say that he's a preacher. Now, the Levite seen the man beat it up, busted, an inch away from his life on the side of the road. Do you think the Levite showed that man compassion? He didn't. He just kept on mobbing, doing what he had to do and taking care of his business. Like, man, I ain't got no business of mine. Now, in this same very road, it was a man walking. He seen the man on the side of the road, beat it up, all busted, and he went up over there and he tended to him. He tried to do things to heal up all of his wounds. He got him on his horse, took him to another city where there was an inn in, and he told the people, "Heal this man up. Whatever it costs you to heal him back to his full strength, I will come back and pay you." Now, that is compassion for you. That is compassion 100%. That man didn't have to do all of that. He didn't, but he took it upon himself to show compassion to a complete stranger. Now, next story. It was a man who owed his lord, the king of the land or the business, his lord. He owed him money. He owed this man all kind of money, and in this time, in this day and age, if you owe somebody, they could throw you in prison. They could even lock your wife up and your kids until you paid this debt off. So the man told the Lord, he begged with him, and compassion came over the Lord to forgive this man and his debt. Now this man was grateful. He was happy. Somebody showed him compassion. He went amongst his day. He found one of his servants, one of his workers, somebody who owed him money. He beat this man up, choked him out, laid hands on him, got the man arrested and thrown in prison for him not paying him back the money he owed him. Where is the compassion? The man had he was given compassion, but he was not willing to give compassion. This same very day, people found out about what he did to his servant. The king called him back in and told him, you didn't want to show no compassion to your servant. Got him locked up. He's in prison until he pays this debt off. If he can ever pay it off, it might cost him his life. But he was not willing to show compassion. That was the reason why his Lord threw him in prison. The same thing that he did to the other man. Now, I just wanted to read this little bit of what I wrote earlier today, because I truly believe that it will help somebody. You might not think it won't help you, but it's going to help somebody who need it. So let's go ahead and get into this little bit of what I wrote for today. And then your boy Jehoshaphat gonna be gone. Y'all know how I gets down. Walking in God's righteous footsteps, you will suffer, because the devil rules this world and his servants hate you and all the God in your heart and the Father you serve. Will the world show you its hate for you? Don't be ashamed, but wear this medal as a medal of honor, because it's going to take your love of God for anyone to make it out of this life. Being strong, not just for yourself, but for the ones that see the Father moving through your life. To be a blessing to others is more than receiving a blessing. It is better to save than to be saved. Your Father sees all and rewards the hands of a good man and a good woman. But to be a blessing to others is as setting things in motion of events to help others. You may not never see, but your act of kindness will never end. And your kindness will be spread all throughout the world as a gift from God. Now that is a true blessing. Now let's break this down a little bit, what I wrote this morning. It is better to be a blessing towards others than to get a blessing. And y'all hear me talk about blessings and gifts all the time, because I want to see that you get all God's blessings, everything that he has promised for you. I truly do want to see you get these things. So we gonna talk about them. But it is better to be a blessing to others, because people see you in your life. And if you have God in your life, they are going to see it. They are either going to gravitate towards you, or they're going to hate and despise the God inside of your life. But some people need to see this inspiration off of you of God moving in your life. So it is better to be a blessing to others than to actual receive a blessing. So I want you to go ahead and think about some of the things that we covered today. Remember, the theme of today: mercy, compassion. Do you have it? Are you willing to share these things with a complete stranger? Are you? Last thing, it is better to be a blessing than to actually receive a blessing. Now, this has been your brother Jehoshaphat. Peace and blessings to all my brothers and sisters out there in the world.
Yeah, I confess, Father, I confess, 'cause I've been living wrong.